Ladies and gentlemen, the January 24, 2022 regular village council meeting will come to order. We begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able, please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nice carpet. Okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Burns,
Here.
Commissioner Maxim,
Here.
Commissioner Nero.
Here.
Commissioner Vogt.
Here.
Mayor Hoskins.
Here. Okay, first item is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the January 10 Village Council meeting minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Maxim. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been seconded by Commissioner Burns. Discussion? If there's no discussion, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Nero,
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. Next is approval of the January 10, 2022 closed session meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Nero will make that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Nero. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Commissioner Maxim, sorry. Discussion on the closed session minutes. There's none. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Nero,
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. Public comment. Do we have any sheets tonight?
No, we do not.
Okay, no public comment. Commissioners, there are no formal communications under department reports. We had 3 reports submitted, one from the police department, finance report, and a fire department report. Any discussion or comment on any of the reports? Commissioner Maxim.
I was really impressed with the police report. I thought there was a lot of really great information, and people, residents sometimes say, we should get more information from the police department. Anyone who's listening to this, like if you download the packet, it's really great. It breaks it down by type of crime, number of arrests made. Just had a ton of really great information. So I thought you guys did a really good job on that. Fire department, as always, did a great job with the photos. I really like seeing those, especially the water rescue, which was pretty incredible. And the finance report looked like it took a lot of work to put together, Director Olmstead. And that one thing that really stuck out was this quote, where she wrote, "All departments remained under budget due to the action taken by all the department heads and staff to cut costs and review methods of services to residents." So always, I think our department heads are doing a fantastic job. So thank you.
Okay, if there's no further discussion on the department reports, we are ready for bills by resolution. Madam Clerk.
Be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Forest Park, Cook County, Illinois, that we dispense with the reading of the individual bills inasmuch as each department head has approved and signed bills in the following aggregate amount for their respective departments. Refunds and allocations, $15,601.75. Public Affairs, $10,228.92. Police Department, $4,210.94. Community Center, $1,744.97. Accounts and Finance Clerk's Office, $171,505.53. Accounts and Finance Fire Department, $6,693.06. Department of Health and Safety, $4,045. Street Department, $32,758.33. Public Property, $45,807.87. Federal Customs, $16,455.30. TIF, $77,663.56. VIP, $34,199.35. Water Department, $354,954.67, for a total of $775,869.25.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioners, is there a motion to adopt the resolution on the bills?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Burns. Is there a second?
Nero second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Nero. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Nero, Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is Resolution R-08-22.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioners, there is no unfinished business before us, so moving to new business. The first item is an ordinance approving the abatement of the tax levied for the year 2021 to pay the principal and interest on the village's general obligation bonds from Series 2012. Is there a motion on this ordinance to adopt the ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Burns. Is there a second?
Sure, Nero will second.
And seconded by Commissioner Nero. Discussion? If there's no discussion, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is ordinance O-04-22.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioners, the next item is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of two fully equipped 2022 Chevy Tahoe police vehicles. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
Nero will make that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Nero. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Burns. Discussion? No discussion, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Nero,
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is ordinance O-05-22.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioners, the next item is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of two fully equipped 2024 heavy-duty plow trucks. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Nero will make that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Nero. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Vogt. Discussion? Commissioner Maxim.
Okay, so I feel like by asking this question, it's going to sound like I'm being accusatory and I'm not. But it was, sort of alarming to read Director Stella's sort of the background information and to know that, these really important trucks have reached their end of life years ago. So this is a problem that, people have known about for a while. And I'm wondering, and it's clearly, predated Sal Stella's time, as director, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm wondering if we could just have a discussion about why we've waited until now to do this, if anyone wants to discuss that.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I wasn't here, but all I can say is moving forward, I think that, having a good grip on the equipment and the fleet that we have, and putting our efforts towards trying to right size and get the stuff that we have in good working order so we could plan for the future is kind of like what's in our lap now. And it stinks because your question's warranted, but unfortunately, I don't think that I can't prepare an answer for that. All we could do is, and I know Jessica and I working together, but she's been very passionate about the fleet management program from the very beginning. And so it's been part of what I think we brought to the table here a few years ago and gotten to this point. And it does look like a big purchase, and it is, but everybody deserves to have the streets clear in town, especially with the last couple of days that we've had. That's why I feel it's very important for the Village of Forest Park. And I'll tell you, if you drive around town and you go through some of our surrounding communities, you'll be very thankful for the work that this Public Works Department does in clearing the roads and streets, because I have done that, and they do a better job here in Forest Park than I could say in some of our surrounding communities. So kudos to you.
Yeah, if I could add, I had a similar question to the one that you just brought up when I first took this position. I found out how far past their useful life the majority of the fleet was, and I had no idea why nothing had been done. And so we've been working pretty hard the last 3 years trying to correct that, which is why we're working on a fleet management plan, and that's why we're working on the equipment fund. So you're right, long overdue. And it's a little scary that these won't be ready for a couple more years. And so we're going to make that aging fleet work for a few more. And like Commissioner Nero said, they're doing a great job with those old vehicles. And our streets are, I think, some of the most passable that we have around here the last couple of days. So, and the previous snowstorm. So you're right, but we're fixing it now, as you know.
Commissioner Burns.
I was on the last council, so I can fill you in a little bit of this. And Tish might be able to back me up. We did have, in a budget meeting, we came forward, and the last thing I asked for was a wish list and a necessity list. And the different departments came across with the stuff that they really needed. The street department needed a front end loader because the front end loader was broken down. They also needed a bucket that had a hole in it the size of Madison Street. The chipper was broke, so they couldn't, when they cut down trees, they couldn't put any trees through the chipper. We did get one truck, so we were trying to modernize the fleet at that point. Every year during budget section, we'd ask, what is the need? What is really needed here? And somewhere along the line, we lost our way. But we did address the issues, and I think even Sal can tell you he got equipment back in there in those days too. But you know, it's a thing that it all comes to light with maintenance on these vehicles. If we don't have a good maintenance program and we can't tell what the life of these vehicles are, we're going to run into the same problem no matter how many vehicles we buy. So I think the maintenance program is probably the best thing that we can get going for the street department, so we can keep up to date on their vehicles. Oh,
Commissioner Maxion.
I just want to make it really clear that I think again, I'm not accusing anyone. My fellow commissioners are great. And I know you guys have been working really hard on the fleet management program. And so this isn't, coming as an accusation at anyone, or Director Stella for sure, because we do have the best streets around. And I agree with everyone and have no objection to, spending this money. I think we need to do it. I just wanted to bring up sort of this elephant in the room that this has been a problem for a long time. And even if we don't know why, we have to fix it now, but that's it. Thank you.
Okay. If there's no further discussion and no more questions on this item, Madam Clerk, why don't you call?
Commissioner Burns,
hi.
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Nero,
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt,
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye.
This is ordinance O-06-22.
Commissioners, the next item on the agenda is simply a discussion for purposes of providing policy direction from the Village Council concerning the 2022 infrastructure plan. Moses, are you going to present this, or Jim?
So we have to make a motion for the discussion, or we just have a discussion?
Just a discussion.
Okay. This is curious, sir. No,
we don't.
we don't. No, that's just a discussion. Of course.
Is this? Icon? Moses, try that.
It's on.
There
It's
we go.
on.
There we go. Operator error, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm waiting for the camera. Can I go?
Go.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, the camera is still,
It will.
think
It'll
one.
come over.
okay. So Engineer Emilio is here this evening to present a draft plan that staff has prepared regarding our 2022 infrastructure improvements, streets, water mains, public property, parking lots. I'd like, following Jim's remarks, for some discussion, some reaction to what's being proposed. I will say this will probably be the first of probably 2 meetings that we will talk about it at a council level, mainly because we currently have a bid out for the 510 project, which we've discussed a couple of times. And once we have those numbers, we will know how to proceed with that project and how that affects funding availability for that project and the funding source if we decide to move forward with that. And depending on how that project is funded or not funded, may open the door to do some other alternate projects that are on page 2 of the document that's in the packet. So I'll turn this over to Jim, and then following Jim's remarks, feel free to ask questions that you have of us, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening. Jim Emilio with Chris Burke Engineering. And we'll go ahead and run through our 2022 infrastructure plan. Again, as Moses had mentioned, this is a draft version. So the first project that we have listed is the Ferdinand Avenue resurfacing and water main project. So that would be resurfacing of the 8, 9, 10, and 1100 blocks. We'd also be doing the water main on the 10 and 1100 blocks. So the total estimated project cost for that is $1.5 million, of which about $878,000 would come out of the water fund and $622,000 coming out of the rebuild bond fund. The next project that we have listed is the 15th Street sewer separation. That is estimated at $400,000. 40K would come out of the VIP fund and 360,000 coming out of a CDBG grant that we are receiving. The next project we have on the list is 510 Des Plaines parking lot. That's the green permeable paver parking lot that is receiving funds from the MWRD, that's Metropolitan Water Reclamation Districts, green infrastructure program. So we're getting $201,000 from MWRD. The balance would have to come out of VIP or potentially could come out of ARPA funds. As Moses had just mentioned, we are opening bids on that soon. They're actually due on Tuesday, February 1st. The next project that we have on the list is the Van Buren Street multi-use path improvements. This is a project that runs from Madison down to the bend at Van Buren, adding a path along the west side of the road. The estimated total project cost is $540,000. We are receiving $247,000 and change from the Invest in Cook fund, which leaves $292,000 coming out of the VIP fund. Next project we have on the list is the North Water Tower painting project. That is estimated at $1.15 million. That would all come out of the Brown Avenue TIF. Moving swiftly along the line here, we have Jackson Boulevard. That's resurfacing from Madison down to Des Plaines. We're receiving STP funding in the amount of $418,000. We're also going to use some of the village's MFT funds, $104,000 from there, so that there is no money out of any of the general fund or VIP fund for Jackson. Next project we have on the list is commuter bike facilities. That is installing bike racks and some ped lighting at the Blue Line CTA parking lot, and also at Harrison and Harlem, where there is a little bike facility that we'd be installing on the north side of Harrison there. So what we have listed is design only. We were fortunate to get ITEP funding for this project. That funding, because of the hoops that we'll have to jump through with the state, we won't be able to get into construction until next year, so 2023 construction. So we have design listed for this year. Next project that we have is repaving the west half of Constitution Court. That is listed at 50K out of the VIP fund. And the last project that we have on the list is abandoning the emergency interconnect that we have currently with Oak Park, which is at the intersection of Harrison and Harlem. This was at the request of Oak Park. It is a interconnect that has not been used in multiple decades. We do have interconnects with Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. And we also have an interconnect with River Forest. So those two interconnects are active and should be sufficient to provide the village enough water. So this would just be a function of cleaning up a loose end that has not been utilized. I'll take the opportunity to mention that IDOT is planning on resurfacing Harlem throughout the entire village, that entire stretch. They just had it on the January letting, which was last Friday. So I anticipate that they'll be starting construction early this spring on Harlem Avenue. So our goal will be to complete that abandonment prior to the resurfacing project occurring. So those projects are in what is our, I'll call it our draft plan. If you flip to the following sheet, you'll see that there are some alternate projects depending on the board's discretion. There are a handful of projects, if budget allows, that can be added or swapped out with some of the projects that are listed there. Do you want me to run through those? Sure. So we have 3 different alley locations that you'll see. The 1100 Elgin Harlem Alley, the 900 Dunlop Lathrop Alley, and the 400 Elgin Harlem Alley. So the first 3 rows have them listed as concrete replacements. So respectively, the estimated total project cost for each of those would be $215,000, $185,000, and $85,000. That fund could come partially from the water fund to cover the sewer improvements, as that is a eligible expense to the water fund. But the majority of it would be out of the VIP fund. There's also the option of doing those same 3 alleys with a paver ribbon, as we've done in the past on several other alleys within the village. As we all know, going green costs green, so it is a little bit more expensive. On average, it's almost 50% more expensive than doing concrete. So you'll see the numbers there. So for example, the 1100 Elgin Harlem, that project would be $330,000 to do it as a paver alley versus $215,000 to do it in concrete. The 900 Dunlop Lathrop project, doing that as a green alley, $287,000, and the 400 Elgin Harlem project, $134,000 to do it as a green alley. So those are the alternates that we have listed for alleys. We have also included a alternate for the north and south tower paving. So as the board knows, we did paint the south water tower last year. We're planning on painting the north water tower this year. Underneath those towers, there is an asphalt area that is not in good shape. We'd like to repave those. So these costs of $60,000 would be split between the brown TIF and the Roosevelt TIF respectively to cover paving underneath the towers. We've also included an alternate for doing a patching program that would be just your typical grind and resurface, just a 2-inch patch kind of throughout the entire village at locations that Public Works Director and myself could identify. We would target doing mostly drive lanes. If there are some really bad patches within a parking lane, we would do that. We would try to get the most bang for our buck by doing, the areas that you would drive your vehicle over so that you're going over a smooth road as opposed to, the mogul hill, as I like to call it. So that's a patching program. We had $100,000 listed for patching. And the last alternate that we have listed is 800 and 900 Ferdinand Avenue lead service replacement for $260,000. I'll take the opportunity to note, we're already doing water main on the 10 and 1100 blocks of Ferdinand. That's in the original plan, not listed with the alternates. As of January 1st of this year, there is a new mandate that all lead services need to be replaced when you install a new water main, or if you touch a service, the entire service needs to be made copper, or I should rephrase, the lead needs to be taken out. So we are doing the water main on the 10 and 1100 blocks of Ferdinand. So we will be replacing those services up and into the house. Those numbers are already included in the numbers I spoke of earlier. The 800 and 900 blocks of Ferdinand, we replaced the water main, I would say 20 to 25 years ago. I'm looking at Mr. Stella to confirm. So that water main does have copper up to the B-bots, but there is a majority of those houses that have lead from the Buffalo bots into the house. So this number, this 260, would be for replacing the private side of services on the 800 and 900 blocks of Ferdinand. Any questions on the water services? Okay. You're holding till the end. All right, the last three projects that I have are listed for next fiscal year. This is not everything that we'd like to do in fiscal year 24, but just some of the placeholders to kind of carry over and finish out things that we've started or mentioned earlier. So we have the commuter bike facilities, that would be fiscal year 24. The construction aspect of it, construction and construction engineering, is just under $114,000 estimated. We have resurfacing of the Village Hall parking lot, $25,000. That would come out of VIP. And lastly, we have the 76 and 7700 blocks of Wilcots doing water main and resurfacing. That would come solely out of the water fund, and that is $760,000 for that. So those are the placeholders, if you will, for next fiscal year 24. With that, I will cede the microphone for discussion.
Sure.
On the alternate projects list, the last item, the lead service replacement at 260,000, is that less than it would typically be because you're already doing a project in that area? For example, if we forewent the opportunity to do it now and did it, in a couple of years instead, would it be significantly more money then because we're not already, opening everything up and working in that area already?
Good question. So there is definitely some economies of scale that you would realize by grouping these together. Doing the entire block or two blocks together, you would see significant savings. If you were to do, one here, one there, you would probably see an increase in this price. With that said, doing it now versus doing it several years from now, the only thing that I can say would be, there's inflation potentially.
And then also, is this alternate project list in order of priority as you see, how quickly or, what an emergency it is to get things done, or?
I would say that the alternate project list is not in any particular order.
Thank you.
Mr. Emilio. One of the questions we always get every year when we're talking about this is the process in which the village goes through in evaluating the village's infrastructure plan, and how do we prioritize certain projects over others. I don't know if that'd be more for Moses or yourself, maybe to maybe splash a little color on that. I know we've talked about it and we have a process, but maybe to let all the listeners know what exactly that looks like would be probably advantageous for everybody.
Sure. So Commissioner Nero, thank you for the question. So as we've done in past years, we've worked with staff and with yourself and other elected officials to come up with a draft plan. The plan starts based on a evaluation of all the infrastructure within the village. So we evaluate the water mains, we evaluate the roadways, we evaluate the alleys. We update those periodically as things get replaced. And so we take that plan and we, several years ago, we developed a 5-year plan. This year is actually the last year of that 5-year plan. We have always said that that 5-year plan, while it's not strict, it's kind of a roadmap, right? We've generally followed it, but there are things that come up and there are things that change. Being year 5 of a 5-year plan, things have definitely changed. A lot of that, I believe, is due to COVID impacts several years ago where we were unable to do our annual water main and resurfacing project back in 2020. So we pushed it and did it in 2021. And now we're seeing the waves or the repercussions of that, in that there are some projects that were within our 5-year plan that we did not complete because we simply fell behind due to funding and resources. So these projects were within that original 5-year plan. There are additional projects that were on that we're not addressing. We've talked at a staff level, and at some point we will be developing a new 5-year plan, which we would reevaluate, again, the water, the sewer, the roadways, the alleys, and come back to the board, with that draft 5-year plan and follow that, as closely as funding and as things change, which they do, we'll follow that as closely as possible though.
No, thank you. I just think it's important for everyone to understand that this decisions that, like you discussed here, all these projects are not, the decisions for those projects aren't made in a vacuum, that there's a thought process on what's available funding and what's in the best interest of Forest Park. I think you explained it well. Thank you. The other thing I just wanted to mention on the alleys, I know everyone is excited about going green. And so if we were to, however, those are alternative projects, but certainly there's some things on what we want to do that may come off, which would provide additional funding to do some of these. That's why they're listed here. But just understand that if we wanted to get all 3 of them done, and if you wanted to do those with the paver stripe down the center, you would probably be looking at 1, maybe 2 of them versus all 3 of them, based upon the funds that are available. And I also wanted to note that there's like $1.8 million tied into the grant program for all the grants and all the money received for all these projects. And I think that's important to understand that that the grant writers and the folks that are submitting these are doing a good job on behalf of the Village Forest Park, because if it wasn't for this grant money, many of these projects would not get pushed forward. So I think that's all I had. Thank you, Jim.
It's not really a
Ms. Matson.
question. I just want to make sure I'm clear on this one thing. So we have the $12,664 for the design only for the commuter bike facilities, right? But that's on the 3rd page, or the fiscal year 24. That project would cost $113,000, but that's all going to be paid for by a grant, correct? The ITEP grant so that's the same project that we're talking about. So the one we're
Yes.
going to pay the 12,000 design for is the one in 24 that will be paid for by a grant. to
So
get it
it's,
done.
Commissioner Matson, this is the same project.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. There is probably a small error in that there might be some local funds or VIP funds in fiscal year 24. I would just have to double check and get back to you on that. That would be my only hesitancy. I
Okay,
don't recall if we had any.
It's listed as for design only, that it would come out of the VIP. So this year, the design of the project would come out of the VIP fund,
right.
and then moving into 24, the construction phase of the project will be covered by the grant.
It just, it looks like the whole thing will be paid for out of a grant, and I was just confirming whether that's true. But you said there might be some VIP portion too. You'll check.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd have to double check on the grant for the fiscal year 24. For the current program, the design number coming out of the VIP is accurate.
Got it.
In that, the grant is, the village has to front the design and then they get reimbursed that amount. So
Got it.
I think it's a net wash, but you're going to pay for it up front, and then you will get 80% of that $12,000 back
Mhm.
in fiscal year 24. So it gets a little tricky kind of showing that in
Thank you.
both years.
Jim, I have a question about the 15th Street Sewer Separation Project. So that will be paid for largely through CDBG funds. Now, this 380 from the CDBG, was it specifically applied for that purpose, the sewer separation? Or was it generally awarded to the village, the CDBG?
So the CDBG, just for the board's benefit, stands for Community Development Block Grant Program, which is administered through Cook County. It is specific to an application that was prepared and submitted for 15th Street from that termini, which is Circle to Marengo. So it cannot be used for other projects. It's solely for that location.
So let's talk a little bit, just for the councils and to refresh my memory about CDBG. Now, we generally submit an application, and in the past, I remember there was always an eligibility area, sort of a CDBG map. Do we have a current CDBG map?
We do, yes. I'd be happy to share that with Moses, who can disseminate it amongst the group. I will say that there are 3 block groups. I just looked at it the other day. There are three block groups that are eligible for CDBG funding. CDBG, the application is generally due in early March. I will be going to a webinar on Wednesday to discuss, to hear the latest and greatest, and then we will be asking the board's opinion for what project we'll want to apply for. We do have some projects, staff and I have some projects that we would recommend, but as with everything else, we would present it to the board and want to get your opinion on it. So the block groups, off the top of my head, there is the section south of Roosevelt between Circle and Harlem. So Roosevelt to 16th. I think Nick just slid you the other one. And then there are 2 block groups on the far north end of town, which I believe is north of Randolph on both sides of the village limit, and then east of Circle over to Harlem, north of Madison.
And also, as part of the eligibility, it looks into whether or not there's a certain threshold of low to moderate income residents there. Is that still the way it works?
Yes, so for it to be eligible, I believe the percentage has to be over 51% low to moderate income.
And so we haven't looked at this in a while. I certainly haven't looked at this in a while. But, one of my concerns has been, the aging facility that is our community center. And, the state of the building itself, the parking lot, the back area. So to the extent that, CDBG funds, I'm not sure if they're eligible for improvements at the community center. But it's something that maybe you all could look at going forward. I'm not sure if it would be eligible or not. I don't remember. But I know that facility is used by, families who are low to moderate income. So maybe we can kind of look at that offline.
Yeah, we could definitely look at that.
I have one question. 510 Des Plaines, the parking lot, we're going out to rebid that, correct? And if the bid comes up with the numbers we're expecting it to come up with, it's up to us to decide whether we're going to go ahead with this project.
Yes, so you would have several options. One would be to award it and cover whatever the local match would be.
Well, MWRD is $201,600.
Correct.
And then we're responsible for $348,400 out of the VIP fund. So if this didn't go because of the cost, the extreme cost of this, we'd lose the $201,000, correct?
Yes, so that would be a decision that the board could make, would be to, reject all bids and return the grant. You haven't physically received any of the money, but you could return it and you could reapply in future years for a larger amount to cover, we'll have actual data on what the bid is. We could get request that full amount.
So that $348,000 would be available for the page 2. if we wanted to do something with some of these projects on page 2 then, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I believe there's also the option of using ARPA funds for that parking lot as well.
But that's not listed on here. on
It's
how
not
much.
listed on here, correct?
Nothing? Jim, just real quickly, so where are we in terms of looking at the community center and, what it will take to make those improvements that we've kind of shared with you that we'd like to see?
Sure.
So real quickly, Mayor, on the draft plan are projects that we believe that can take place this year. So we are getting state funding for capital improvements for buildings. I don't know what the timeline is for that yet. I've reached out to DCEO and to find out what is the timeline for the funds that we're getting for those capital improvements. Because I don't know, it's not on this plan.
Have we looked at the costs associated with the improvements that we'd like to see at the community center? Like, do we have, budgeted costs, what that will take?
No, not specific costs for the community center yet, but
So what will it take to get those costs, like for you to do the work? So you can come back to us and say, this is what we're looking at for the playground area. This is what we're looking at for the parking lot.
yeah, we'll able to do that, if we get a spec together of what's gonna be required there. Yeah, we can go ahead and prep for that.
So you'll
But
put that on your list to,
Sure,
okay.
yeah. But again, the projects that are on this list are grants that need to be spent in this year that we know about, we know what the timeline associated with them are. So that's why some of these other grant awards that we have heard that we will be receiving are not on this list.
Okay, Moses, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about this plan? So as Jim indicated, and we talked about the 510 project, we will know more next week and how that affects whether or not we're going to be moving forward with that project along with other projects on the plan. The next item on the agenda is an engineering agreement related to the Ferdinand improvements. I'd like to get some sort of consensus from the board if you are okay with that, because that affects your action on the next agenda item. And the reason why that is on the agenda this evening is because that work will take some due diligence on design, that will take over the course of the next several months in efforts to complete that prior to the end of summer before school starts next year. I will say the other project that we will have to start getting work on is the disconnect from the Oak Park water system in light of the pending Harlem Avenue improvements. The rest of the items there, we can wait till the next meeting for further discussion, but those are more of the two more time sensitive items.
Okay, so we'll take into account your comments on item E. And we will give you some feedback and we'll skip over that and consider it possibly at the next agenda, at the next meeting. Moving on to item F. We'll entertain a motion to approve a resolution. It's on the agenda. Well, he says we need to think about it, right? We had it presented tonight.
Well, I think your consensus would be if you pass this. So I think it's proper to entertain a motion to consider it. If your vote to approve this resolution would be your affirmation to go forward, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
since we have this presented tonight,
Yes.
is the council ready to approve this tonight, or should we think about this based on the overall presentation that we've heard? I mean, is it,
Mayor, I think what we're looking for here, and I could be off base here, but this is just one of the pressing projects of the package that was presented
Right.
that Moses and Mr. Emilio feel that it's important to get moving forward if we're to stay on pace get the grant money and be able to start the project, and complete the project along with another project that's not listed, which would have been the disconnect with the Oak Park Water Service. That one's not here. This one's here. I think it's important that we absolutely make a motion and get it approved so we can get moving with the plan that was laid out earlier.
Chair will entertain a motion on item E, resolution approving and authorizing execution of professional design agreement with Burke Engineering and the Village of Forest Park for the Ferdinand Avenue Water Main Resurfacing Project. Is there a motion?
Hero will make that motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner Nero. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Commissioner Vogt. Discussion? No discussion, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner
Maxim.
Burns?
Wait,
Aye.
no, Commissioner Maxim has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I have one quick question. I think I already know the answer. And this does not include engineering plans for the lead replacement on the 800 and 900 block of Ferdinand, correct? Does not include that. Okay.
I'm sorry, what did you say? It does not include? I just want to make it for the
It does
notes.
not include engineering plans for the lead service replacement on the 800 and 900 blocks of Ferdinand.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Burns? Did you have a question?
No, no, just,
Okay, Madam Clerk, we're ready.
Commissioner Burns?
aye.
Commissioner Maxim?
Aye.
Commissioner Nero?
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt?
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins?
Aye.
This is Resolution R-09-22.
Okay. Commissioners, the next item is a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the village and the Community Economic Development Association of Cook County in connection with the Low-Income Home Water Assistance Program. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Burns. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Maxim. Discussion? If there's no discussion, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Burns?
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim?
Aye.
Commissioner Nero?
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt?
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins?
Aye.
This is Resolution R-10-22.
Okay, Commissioners, the next item is a motion to approve the Forest Park Chamber of Commerce banner request related to the 26th Annual St. Patrick's Day Parade scheduled for March 5th. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner Vogt. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Maxim. Discussion? There's, Commissioner, oh, you're supporting.
Yeah.
You're not raising your hand. to
St.
ask a
Patrick's
question.
Day Parade, right? We're back. T-shirt cannon.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Burns?
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim?
Aye.
Commissioner Nero?
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt?
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins?
Aye. All right, Commissioners, next item is a motion to approve a request from the Park District of Forest Park related to solicitation of donations for the 4th of July fireworks display. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Burns. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Maxim. Discussion? There's no discussion. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Burns?
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim?
Aye.
Commissioner Nero?
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt?
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins?
Aye. Okay, Commissioners, the last item is a motion to approve appointments to the following boards and committees. Tim Gillen to Police and Fire, Jordan Kuhn to Traffic and Safety, Joanne Grieve to the Fire Pension Board, Celeste Leonard to the Library Board, Casey Mulcher to the Rec Board, and Andrea Morello to the Ethics Commission. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner Maxim. Is there a second?
A Nero second.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Nero. Discussion?
question on the term there, just real quick. I noticed the first two candidates have like a 3-month term and then it kind of changes. Is that typical? Is there a reason why it's so short?
That's because in these particular appointments, they're filling a term where someone has either stopped their service in the middle of a term, or in some cases, terms had expired and another person stepped down. In the case of traffic and safety, I think one of the current commissioners used to be on that board. He resigned that position. So this person very well may be filling. that
Big shoes to
particular-
fill there, Mayor.
I have a question. So on April 30th, we're going to have to reappoint 3 of these people back.
It would just be,
Actually,
it would be a
yeah.
housekeeping, it would be a housekeeping action,
Okay.
but yes, we would. Or they, they could serve until they were replaced, but in the past, people weren't always, reappointed exactly when they're supposed to be.
I was just wondering if we have to reappoint them after the 30th of April.
That would be the preferable thing to do. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Nero.
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt.
Aye.
Mayor Hoskins.
Aye. Okay. That concludes our new business for this evening. We are at Administrator's Report.
Just want to touch upon the infrastructure improvements once again. So what's going to be coming before this council, probably in February or March, is a policy about the lead service line replacements. We've talked about this a couple of times. It's kind of a fluid situation because everyone's in the same boat in terms of what to do with this new law. On one hand, the village has had a policy for several years where the homeowner is required to replace at their expense the cost of the lead service line, as the village's portion only ends at the B box. The new state law, however, says that if we touch a water main, the entire line, even to the homeowner's interior of their house, needs to be replaced. Everybody is working on, water service providers is working on this new law and this policy. And as we move forward this year and in the future, at least the next 20 years, this is going to be part of our water main projects, which obviously affects the costs. So because there's different rules in terms of grant funding, so if we use grant funding for any of these water main improvement projects, the cost of which is entirely on the village's dime. So that's a quirk of the new law that we're going to have to navigate and develop policy to make something that everyone here will be comfortable with moving forward, especially for the next 20 years is our due date. So that's number one. And number two, we did hint upon ARPA a couple of times. We will need to come together as a council to decide about how to use our ARPA funding. The final rule of ARPA recently just came out. It's a little bit more clear and easier to interpret of what the parameters are with how to use ARPA funding. Tish and I have been working on this. We will throw a lot of different options before this board to consider on what to do with that. So that is also going to be coming before this board very shortly. Other than that, I guess get ready for a busy year as we talked about earlier today, not just the village's projects, but with what the state is going to have going on, especially Harlem and other places. So it'll be a busy summer. Thank you.
I have one question, Moses. I probably should have brought this up when we were going through this. This 800 to 1100 block of Ferdinand, does that go with the lead replacement?
The one that's on the alternate plan?
No, the one that's on the infrastructure plan. on
Oh,
page
yes.
one.
That,
Eight.
that's a resurfacing of that portion of the street.
Mhm.
The water main has already been replaced within the last 20 years. It's in good shape. It does not need to be replaced,
Okay,
but that road needs to be resurfaced.
okay.
Anything else? Thank you.
So we're at commissioners' reports. Commissioner Burns.
I have nothing. Just keep your fingers crossed. Wish me luck. I'm leaving Wednesday for Las Vegas.
All right, Joe.
And in this, and when I'm down there in that 70-degree weather, I'll be thinking of the snow and the cold up here.
Commissioner Maxim.
I have nothing. I think I spoke enough tonight already. Thank you.
I wish I was in the same boat, but
Commissioner Nero. the floor is
it's real
yours.
quick. I'm just gonna read, which I typically don't do, for the sake of our viewers at home here. But snow routes are in effect, and I think it's important to remember that they are in effect up to 40 odd hours after the completion of any snow event with an accumulation of more than 2 inches. Michael, you're correct, sir. Just remember that Public Works, we do the streets, we do the alleys with snow removal. It's always nice to get a little help from the powerful residents here in Forest Park, but we don't, and we do salt and ice abatement or removal on the main thoroughfares, the streets and the roads, but not in the alleys and not in the sidewalks. So just quick summary there, just to make sure we're all on the same page. End of report, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Nero. Commissioner Vogt.
I have nothing this evening, but I should have said this earlier. I just wanted to thank all of these volunteers that we just approved for these boards and commissions, because they are volunteers. They're taking their time to help, their village, and I appreciate that. Everyone's time is sacred. So I should have said that earlier. Thank them if you see them.
Okay, I'm going to waive my time for this evening. I think we've had a very productive meeting. So at this point, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Nero will make that motion.
I think it's been moved by Commissioner Nero. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Then seconded by Commissioner Burns. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxim,
Aye.
Commissioner Nero,
Aye.
Commissioner Vogt,
Aye.
Mayor Huskins.
Aye, we stand adjourned.
Scare you guys or?